India is predominantly an agricultural country. Our people are agriculturists since time immemorial. Nearly 80% of our population earns its living through agriculture. Primitive man first developed a wooden plough to stir the soil. He tilled the soil the best way he could for the purpose of raising more food per acre. The primitive man also observed that plants growing near cattle manure were having more growth rate. Thus we can say that man has been conscious of the crop yield since the very beginning. Man, with his observations and creativity, innovated various agricultural implements to suit his requirements. This is an indigenous plough and is the most common agricultural implement used by our farmers. In addition to ploughing, it is also used for sowing, interculture, and for harvesting the underground part of crop. Different types of desi ploughs are used in different parts of the country depending upon the condition of the soil. Mold-board plough was developed to facilitate the soil turning process along with tilling of soil. This improved plough is used for turning under the heavy weed growth and green manure crops. Tractor-driven mold-board plough is used for large land holdings. It has a base with parts necessary for turning, lifting, and inverting the soil. A double disc plough is adapted to conditions where the mold-board will not work, such as for dry, hard, and stony soils. This is usually used for deep ploughing. Harrows are the tillage implements used to prepare the land by breaking clods, cutting weeds, pulverizing the soil, covering seeds, and smoothing the surface. Spike-toothed harrow has a rectangular frame. It has pointed steel pegs with their points towards ground. It is commonly used prior to broadcast sowing of seeds and is also used after sowing to cover the seeds for breaking the crust to facilitate germination of seeds. Spring-tooth harrow is used in rough and stony ground. This type of harrow is used to loosen previously ploughed soil. Its teeth penetrates deeper than those of spike-tooth harrow. In triangular harrow, the pegs are fixed along the three arms of the frame. The points are tilted backwards vertically so that the soil is not accumulated in front. Disc harrow does an effective job of cutting and covering. For larger fields, tractor-driven disc harrow is used. It has concave metallic discs which can be made to cut soil at desired depth by a manually controlled mechanism. A cultivator has a frame with a number of tines for breaking and stirring the soil. It is usually tractor mounted and working depth is controlled hydraulically. The cultivator is mainly used for seedbed preparation, stubble cleaning and breaking, general weed control, and cultivating between row crops. A leveler, commonly known as karaha, is used for leveling the undulating fields. The level field receives uniform penetration of irrigation water with high efficiency. The leveled field thus becomes ready to receive timely agriculture operations such as ploughing, seeding, and interculture. A planker is generally a rectangular section of wooden log provided with 2 pegs for hitching. The main purpose of operating this implement is to crush, grind and tear the clods to produce a smooth, well-packed seed bed. Traditionally, stubbles of previous crops were collected manually by 1 or more persons. But nowadays, a stubble collector is used for collecting stubbles. It is provided with metallic hooks fastened on one side for collecting the weeds. Puddling of soil is one of the most common farm operations in paddy growing areas. Open plate type puddler has a series of metal blades fastened to cast iron hub at an angle. The puddler is used for churning of soil in the presence of excess water to kill weeds and to facilitate the transplanting of seedling by softening the soil and to reduce the leaching of water in the soil. A ROTARY is required for row planted crops. It has a V-shaped shear either rigidly fixed or hinged to the mold boards. It is generally used for making field furrows or channels. It is also used for earthing up operation for crops like potatoes, sugarcanes, etc. After the field has been prepared, seeding operation begins. Broadcasting is the oldest and simplest method of sowing seeds. Seeds are scattered on field by hand. A funnel-type seed drill is the simplest seed drill. It consists of a funnel, a vertical tube fitted to the indigenous plough. The seed tube is tied to the body to drop seeds just behind the plough in furrow. A seed drill is used to open furrows to a uniform depth, dropping seeds uniformly without injury to cover the seeds and compact soil around them. Two-row country seed drill is an improvement of the traditional funnel-type seed drill. Here, 2 metallic tubes are attached to the funnel-type seed drill. This drill opens 2 furrows simultaneously and drops the seeds in the furrows. A seed-cum-fertilizer drill is used to combine the operations of seeding and applying fertilizer in the fields together. There are two separate chambers for keeping seeds and fertilizer. The ratio is adjusted with the help of adjusting levers, raising and lowering devices. For large land holdings, tractor-driven seed cum fertilizer drill is used. Traditionally, ridge making is done manually by two persons operating the implement. One pushes the implement down for collecting soil and the other pulling the rope tied to the implement. Nowadays, bullock-drawn ridge maker is used to make bunts. Among the indigenous type of hand hoe, the khurpi is the most popular. Its basic parts are a small handle for the grip and a cutting blade. The khurpi with long narrow blade is preferred for weeding around the plants. Hand hoes are available in different shapes and sizes in different parts of the country. A wheel hoe consists of a tine to place cutting tool on, a wheel, and two handles. It is usually used for interculturing. The hose is operated by pushing it through short distance each time. The simplest and oldest method of fertilizer spreading is the scattering of fertilizer in the fields by hand. Part of the fertilizer is added as top dress on the crops. Chemicals need to be applied on crops for protecting them from various pests and diseases. Different kinds of spraying and dusting implements are used for this purpose. A backpack knapsack sprayer is commonly used implement for spraying insecticides and pesticides. It is provided with a hand pump and large chamber containing chemical solution. A uniform pressure can be maintained by keeping the pump in operation. The chemical is uniformly spread over the crop with the help of a fine nozzle. Another method of spraying is through compressed air sprayer. It consists of an air pump mounted in an airtight chamber. The pressure is developed by pumping air into the tank and spray is thereby forced out. A separate tank is provided for the chemical solution. A rotary type hand duster is used for spraying powdered chemicals on plants. It is provided with an enclosed fan geared to a hand crank and a hopper holding the chemical dust. The duster is usually fastened to the operator by means of a shoulder strap. Harvesting of field crops constitutes one of the most labor-consuming operations of farming in India. The sickle has remained the universal harvesting tool for all field crops. Nowadays, sickles with improved designs are in use in different regions. Threshing can be done by beating the crop with a stick. When natural wind is blowing, traditional charge is used for winnowing. Threshing of cereals, pulses, and oil seeds is done mainly by treading under the bullock's feet when a small amount of the harvested crop is to be threshed. Foot-operated winnowing fan is used to create sufficiently strong air blast when natural wind is not adequate. In some areas, all-pad thresher is used for threshing wheat and other crops. A rotary paddy thresher is used for threshing paddy crops. Its main part is a wooden cylinder with metallic teeth all around its circumference. Threshing is done by holding the bundle of crop against the teeth of the revolving cylinder. The grains are thus easily separated out. Currently, an improved thresher is mostly used for wheat threshing. It has two main units, threshing unit and cleaning unit. Grain is collected in a container and carried for bagging. A combine harvester has been developed to carry out various functions like cutting, threshing, and cleaning simultaneously. It heads the standing earheads as it moves over the field. The cut earheads are then fed to a cylinder. The straw is then separated from the grain. The grain is then carried from combine to adjacent tractor trolley through a pipe for onward transportation. Although in the past, improvements have been made in agricultural implements, but still there is a lot of scope for further development in this direction so as to reduce the drudgery of farming community.